is set up. So we are good to go. Alright, let's get started. So we conveniently have 1,230 gems, which means if we get this, we won't be at 1,500, which is incredibly painful, and I hate it. But we're just gonna do well instead of poorly. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's get started. The plan is to do well at the draft. Finding a table. All right, waiting on some people. One more seat, and then they'll all be full. All right, we have once again selected ready within 2 seconds of the table starting. And now we are just waiting on the last person, as usual. All right, we got there. Perilous Snare is kind of busted. Thunderhead Gunner is pretty good as well, but I think we just take the rare. Earth Rumbler is also good. Like, these two are close seconds. But a removal spell that also makes us win board stalls seems pretty great to me. So let's go with this. Alright. Pack 2, we could get Momentum Breaker, Gallant Strike. So Momentum Breaker would... So either of these would really push us towards control of some kind. Momentum Breaker is just a really good card. Gallant Strike is not as good, but it's in colors. I don't know. How many creatures are there even with toughness 4 or greater? Let's take Momentum Breaker. And we might end up in black-white as usual. Ooh, we could go Esper again. I do love me some Esper. So we could take the Pathmaker. All the rest of these cards. I mean, Engine Rat is like fine. I don't know. Let's take a Pathmaker. I've had great success in the past with Esper. Like the artifacts really helps with the 3-color. Alright, we picked a little fast there, so now we have to wait to get past our packs. Remember, kid, take your time on every pick, otherwise you have to sit here being bored while other people do. Alright. What do we have here? We have Broadcast Rambler. Is just a good card. What are the rest of these? Like, Glider is mid. Kind of bad removal spells. I just like getting 2 artifacts on one body, one of which is quite large and the other one of which flies. Alright, this pack is pretty good for blue, but I think we'd probably just take Guidelight Matrix. Just have some artifacts. This one cantrips. It cantrips and it can turn stuff on as far as vehicles. Alright. Nimble Thopterist works pretty well with the deck. Just 2 bodies, one of which is an artifact flyer. Alright, now we wait for another pack. So we have 2 blue cards, 2 white cards, 1 black card. We could wind up in straight blue-white, although I would prefer not to because some of the black cards are really, really good. Alright. Voyager Quick Welder is excellent. Calaxion is very mid. Keen Buccaneer is not great. It's not terrible, but I think just artifact synergies are going to be more important here. So let's take that. Yeah, let's take it. Alright, so here we get Hull Drifter is super impactful and strong. You could take a 3-mana 3/3, but I think just taking the draw 2 artifact is better. Now I think we take the Daring Mechanic. It has much better stats than this, and can help break board stalls if necessary. Not getting super lucky on the dual lands being in the right colors. Probably... Nah, it's probably Leonin Surveyor. I think we just need the decent cards. And Oil Gorger is decent. Stall Out is fine. Trip Up is in colors at least. Foul Roads is maybe castable. Salvation Engine. Woo, baby. There's a white card for you. The rest of the pack is not super exciting. You've got Grim Bauble, I guess. Thoughtcast is in there, which is certainly a thing. But we've just got to take the on-theme mythic. So let's just spend the rest of the time looking at this pack. I mean, with as many good cards as there are, something decent is going to get wheeled to us, for sure. Alright. So here we could get another Voyager Quick Welder. And this Salvation Engine really cares about artifact creatures, so I think it's between that and the Harrier. Maybe starting column, but I think a second Quick Welder is going to be better. Detention Chariot is a removal spell. Broadcast Rambler is 2 artifact creature bodies, potentially. Our early game is very mediocre right now. Something we're going to need to be careful about. Let's see. Midnight Mangler is a good-ish blocker, I guess. Scrap Compactor is kind of a removal spell, but not really. Let's take a good-ish blocker, I guess. Not excited about that pick. Transit Mage is insane. Mimeoplasm is not exciting. I think it's just got to be Transit Mage to find Salvation Engine. That is absurd. That is completely ridiculous. So yeah, we need early survival plays most of all. We are super low on removal. Interface Ace, Engine Rat. Engine Rat as an early Death Touch blocker is decent if we can find our on-color lands, which I'm starting to get a bit worried about. I have seen nothing of this sort. Scrap Compactor is kind of like removal if you squint. Embalmed Descendant is just like a decent black-white card. It's not super exciting, but it's completely reasonable. Starting column. So at this point we have 2 Quick Welders, and I think we just want some mana fixing, because we have a couple of black spells in here. Same reasoning, second pick in a row, another starting column. Locust Spray, I guess, is kind of like early removal if you squint. I might just take a 3rd Quick Welder. I'm going to take a 3rd Quick Welder. Locust Spray is kind of bad. Take Ripclaw Wrangler, because it's on color, if nothing else. We are super heavy on the 3s right now. Alright, Stall Out is kind of what we need right now. It's not the best thing, but it works. And random card. Mendicant Core Guidelight. 2 mana, X3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, copy it. I mean, okay. If you're gonna twist my arm about it, I'll take another on-theme rare in my colors. Yeah, the rest of these cards aren't even all that good, so I definitely don't mind this. Alright, Flood the Engine is more removal. None of the rest of these cards are super exciting. Gravestalker, like maybe, but not really. I think it's just gotta be Flood the Engine. It's more 3 mana stuff, which I don't love, but Hour of Victory, what is this? 3 mana, make a zombie creature max speed, Demonic Tutor. Yeah. I think we take Grim Bauble. We need the early removal. Okay, let's see. Unswerving Sloth is just kind of like a bullshit late game card. Roadside Blowout is decent. Bounce Off is also fine. I think Roadside Blowout is probably better. Another Thopterist. Kind of tempted to take Spell Pierce. Yeah, let's take Spell Pierce. That'll be fun. I haven't played much with counterspells in this draft so far. Actually, where are all of the blue-white or black-white dual lands? Like, what the heck? I think we take a Sarcophagus. It's start your engines, and it's a 2-mana creature. It's not quite as good defensively as Midnight Mangler, but it can actually be offensive at some point, which is pretty important. Alright, what is this? Creatures you control get +0/+1, and it activates mounts and vehicles. I'm just going to take another Hull Drifter. Second Hull Drifter seems pretty good. Definitely don't love the lacking removal in this deck so far. Alright, there is an on-color duel. You love to see it. It even helps with black mana specifically, which is what I'm worried about. Risky Shortcut is pretty good. Guidelight Matrix is like fine, but I think we just take the 2-for-1 here. Alright, now I think we take a Guidelight Matrix again. And another Broadcast Rambler over a Hull Drifter. We have a ton of value in this deck. I don't think we need 3 Hull Drifters. We might want lots of ways of closing out the game, though. Alright, we get a bounce off. That's pretty good for us. We need the early interaction. And I guess we take a Reef Roads and a Midnight Mangler. Alright, that's fine. So what is this? 2 mana tap, sack, make a pilot. Yeah, I really do not love these lands. Alright, so what are the cuts here? I would love to cut a Daring Mechanic and let's see here. Maybe a Trip Up. I'm low on interaction, but Trip Up is just so clunky. Do I need 3 Broadcast Ramblers and 2 Hull Drifters? Probably don't need this Streaking Oil Corcher, though. That's probably too much. Alright. I think I cut Midnight Manglers. Like, they are literally just basically defenders. Leon Surveyor is not terrible. It can be kind of awkward to block. Stall Out is pretty good. Momentum Breaker is fine. It's kind of an awkward color, but I think we keep it. Sarcophagus, Perilous Snare. Alright. What 3-drops am I cutting? I do not need 10 billion 3-drops. Starting columns are important for mana. Transit Mage is like the best card in my deck. Roadside Blowout is tempo mostly. Let's make that cut. Let's cut Embalmed Descendant, I guess. It's tough to say. Now, surely there are some bad cards. Let's cut Leonin Surveyor. Surveyors are normally safe cuts if you have them. Right, Scrap Compactor really isn't a 1-mana removal spell, so I think we could probably cut that. We have lots of artifacts. I don't think we need the Guidelight Matrix. Like, I guess having them in there for the Salvation Engine, because I don't really have a good way of getting Crew 6 otherwise. So let's cut Walking Sarcophagus instead. And maybe Risky Shortcut. I imagine I'm going to be wanting to go late, so losing 2 life there isn't amazing, and we have a ton of value otherwise. Let's see. Let's cut Spell Pierce. I don't know. I just can never seem to find like mana available for it, I feel like. Oh, Ripclaw Wrangler is super mid. We can cut that. 2 more cuts needed. Maybe a Quick Welder. Probably don't need 3 of them. And 1 Broadcast Rambler. Probably don't need 3 of them. Let's try this. I don't know if it's good. I can never tell. But it seems like my deck is pretty good. Like if I had to guess, I feel like this can get us to 3 wins. But who knows? The mana base is a concern. We only got 1 on-color duel, which sucks a lot. Alright. This hand is fine, I guess. We have removal, we have ramp, we have transit mage to find our thing. We have starting column to get white mana and or black mana when we need it. Opponent is playing some form of blue-red. But the question is, blue-red with walking sarcophagus? Seems a bit weird. I think we let that hit us once. It's not really a threat. Activate an exhaust ability, discard a card. 4 mana, it becomes a creature. Okay. Alright, do I start in column? If I start in column this turn, I have 5 mana for Transit Mage plus Momentum Breaker next turn. Or I could Momentum Breaker now and slow them down a bit. Nah, I don't think they're putting me under too much pressure at the moment. We can afford to ramp. And like realistically, whatever spell they play here is going to be better than the sarcophagus anyway. Alright. Was not expecting that. That makes it somewhat scary. Fortunately, we have removal for days, so we can Grim Bobble the sarcophagus. We can Momentum Breaker the Velocitar. Or the Refueler, I guess. Either one. And then if they crew this, I will stall it out. Or if they exhaust it, I'll stall it out as well, obviously. Alright, so they exhaust that. Oh, this is a sorcery? Cringe. Alright. Stall out is a sorcery. I thought it was an instant. That's pretty bad for me. So we can still do this now. And play Transit Mage. Take action. Get Salvation Engine. Because it is super good. I don't have any other artifact creatures at the moment, which is a bit of a problem. I do have a Transit Mage. This guy's fun. Alright, Thunderhead Gunner. Sure. Alright, we draw the white mana. So I think we Guidelight Pathmaker, so this will prevent this from attacking and also get us an artifact onto the board. Alright, so what do we get here? Probably Perilous Snare. Like this, that card is also completely busted. So they can't attack with the gunner while I have this. Obviously they could if they have something for it, but hopefully they don't have anything. Alright, so I have to crew now because of the cycle. This won't be able to crew in the future. Which does leave the Pathmaker exposed to some nonsense. Yep. 5 damage to one target creature or planeswalker, and the Pathmaker is gone. Now I'm down to 3, which is not great for me. I'd really rather be at 7 right now. So I can take that. That's going to deal 2 to me for not having max speed. Alright, so I can attack here to get up to speed 2. And then I can play out another starting column and still have the mana to activate the Momentum Breaker to not die. This will put me to 1. And the Ranger's Refueler is coming at any minute. Alright. I think I upkeep stop Grimbauble, because I really need something. So let's gain 2 while we have 2 mana to spare. Upkeep Grimbauble. Still have 5 mana left over. Alright, Broadcast Rambler is fantastic. So this gives us a number of blockers. And we just have to pass. And hope they can't kill us. They can put us to like 1 with attacks here. Maybe they just won't attack. You never know. Alright, they attacked. Alright, well, have to hope they have literal nothing. Block there, take 2. Take 2 more from that. Ah, they have that. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, so there was just nothing I could do there. Opponent was just a little bit quicker than me. If I hadn't messed up with thinking that spell was an instant and not a sorcery, maybe I have enough time, but it's hard to say. Because then I would be at like +4, which might be enough for me to have lived that. Maybe there were better tutor targets as well for the Trinket Mage. Alright, this hand is fine. We need to find a white mana. But we have plenty of ways to stall out, get it, the game until we find that, so it should be fine. Just island go. Play a swamp next turn. Hopefully plains after that. Alright, do we Momentum Breaker them? No, we don't. We want to actually like take the tempo. 2 mana opponent discards a card is pretty terrible. And I think I'll cycle this stall out this turn to try to find a plains. It's blue-red again. Okay. Cycle a stall out, try to find something to do. Find another white card and another non-white land. Very cool. God, this hand would be so nuts if that was a plains, and I could go Quick Welder into Salvation Engine next turn and attack for 4. My opponent is playing slow. I'm going to emote them. Just see if that gets them to react. Alright. They cycle a Skybox Fairy. And do they have a 3rd land? Rats, they do. And they have a good card, too. Alright. We draw the plains. I think this turn we just Momentum Breaker them, and then next turn we can go double Quick Welder. Which is kind of ridiculous, especially with the Salvation Engine. And they're blue-red, so they shouldn't have, like, hand interaction for all this. Yeah, they just play a Howler's Heavy. Oh, I can't go double Quick Welder because I only have 1 white mana. That's fine. We'll just play 1. And this will theoretically hold the board at a standstill. Now the question is, when do I want to play the Salvation Engine? If I play it next turn, I can start attacking with the Quick Welder immediately, but they might have artifact removal, or just creature removal in general. Alright, Thunderhead Gunner. That's big and scary. It does mean that they are not going to get any bluff attacks in. I would love to draw a second Plains so I can double spell. Second Plains so I can double spell would be massive. I think I broadcast Rambler here and try to trade with the Gunner so that the Salvation Engine can eventually bring it back for even more value. Not going to crack the Breaker. Yeah, I think I actually just play Hull Drifter here. Actually, no. I'll play the Rambler. I assume I'll win the long game. This will help me get to the long game more guaranteed. I just need to not take giant attacks every turn. So Hull Drifter would potentially find my second Plains, which is why that's tempting. Broadcast Rambler is so good, like what the heck. Now if they attack here, I'll trade. If they don't attack here, that's even better for me, because then Salvation Engine pumps it, and then they don't have good attacks anymore. Actually, I would have good attacks, right? So this would be 7, and then the Grim Bauble for another 2 to wipe their board with the Rambler. Opponent is thinking hard. Alright, they make their attacks. I'll accrue up the Rambler and trade with the Gunner. If they have a combat trick, they have a combat trick. Looks like they have a trip up. Alright. I think I bottom that just because I need another Plains. Then I'll block that. Gain 3, basically. So I can go Quick Welder into Hull Drifter next turn with the discount. I think that's probably what I'll do. The Salvation Engine is tempting, but like they might have removal for it. So don't want to be too hasty with it. They sure are thinking. Opponent has never heard that playing fast is fun. They are looking at every card in play and using a timeout. You have 1 blue mana available. Your options are extremely limited. Just choose something, please. Alright, now you have 2 mana available. You might chalk the Quick Welder. Please, opponent, you do not have to take the maximum amount of time between every game action. Alright. After all that, they have chosen to do nothing. Very cool. Let's play another Quick Welder. And then a Hull Drifter, and then we can play this to get a second white source, past the point where it would be helpful, of course. Alright. Opponent, please. Just hit pass. Oh boy, the car across the street has decided to do fun things. Alright, Plains this turn doesn't get me anything, so I'll play a tap land, gain a life. Hull Drifter is crew 3. And it's also, like, pretty bad stats. I think I'm just gonna chip in with a Thopter and get speed up. Alright. Speed has been boosted to 2. Momentum Breaker, now slightly less embarrassing life gain, literally twice as much. I am, unfortunately, just going to take 7 here. Or, I guess I might block a Howler's Heavy. But I want all of my Quick Welders. Alright. That has an activated ability, which I think they haven't been using. They might have used it once. Please. Alright, kick off celebrations. Their engines are starting. They have a lot of discard draw. So far, haven't seen any real synergy for it. Aside from just selection being good enough as it is. There goes another land. They must have been flooded at some point. Waiting on a slow opponent. Wait, if they had a bunch of lands in their hand, then that means their decisions haven't even been difficult? What the heck? Roping is not fun. You should probably be banned for roping continuously. Alright, they just attacked with the gunner. I'll say no blocks. There's like that thing that they could push a lot of damage here if they want, but if they have that combat trick that's like X red, target creature gets plus X plus O in first strike, they could have put me to 7, which would have been slightly annoying. They choose not to though. They instead choose to continue being incredibly painfully slow in every meaning of the word. Alright, Perilous Snare is great. Love to see it. Let's play a Broadcast Rambler for 3. Double Quick Welder is doing insane amounts of work here, because we're also going to get to play the Perilous Snare on top of everything else. Alright, Salvation Engine. Please don't have a counterspell. If you have a counterspell, I will be very sad. If I get Spell Pierced here, I'm going to be very tilted. I mean, even if they have the Spell Pierce, I'm still probably fine with the Perilous Snare, right? But, like, it would be annoying. This one game has been like 20 minutes. Not for any particular reason. Alright, 2 damage to each creature. That makes sense, I guess. That makes sense as a thing they'd be doing. But I still get that, and now I think I take the opportunity to Grimbobble the Howler's Heavy while it has 2 damage marked on it. Like, this is not going to be killing anything ever except for in this exact situation. So may as well take the opportunity. And I'm going to attack with 1 Quick Welder, leave the other 2 crew Rambler for blocks. I am at 10. Don't want to get too hasty. I do need to start pushing damage while I have the opportunity to do so. I don't want to get too aggressive too quickly and die. Alright, up to speed 3 we go. Not long until Perilous Snare will start putting counters on, and Momentum Breaker can be a gain for. Alright, they discard another land. Seems like they had a ton of those. I would feel sorry for my opponent for flooding out, but they have also been roping me, so that's tough. Also, I'm generally not the kind of person to feel bad for my opponents getting unlucky. Gotta take the wins where you can get them. Magmakin Artillerist. There's finally some payoff for looting. They've already used the gunner, presumably, to find the artillerist. Alright. The fact that my opponent is roping me out while the person across the street is being unnecessarily loud with their car is also contributing to the frustration. Alright, so I will Perilous Snare the gunner, leave them with the artillerist. And do I even have... I don't even have anything to get back with the Salvation Engine at the moment. Alright, do I just attack... What do I attack with here? If I crew the Hull Drifter and the Rambler, that's more damage, I think. Because this is 8, that'll be 7 plus 5. So yeah, that'll be more damage. So let's crew up some vehicles, shall we? Opponent, please. Alright. And then we crew up the Rambler to be a 7/6 or something ridiculous. And now we go to attacks. Alright, they cycle a thing, ping me for 1. That's fine. There's no reason for them to do that at this exact instant. What does this do? Max speed, give stuff haste? Alright, they're not at max speed, so I don't care. Oh, I had a Perilous Snare activation. Didn't realize I just hit 4. Also didn't really realize this was only as a sorcery, but whatever. It's fine. We still have Momentum Breaker, Gain 4, Grimbobble, Scry 2. Yeah. Opponent is super dead here. Salvation Engine, good card, turns out. Who would have guessed? Alright. We got our win. Opponent spent all of that time for nothing. Now we get to hopefully play a game at a reasonable pace. Right, waiting for opponent. We find one. They are in draft gold, much like me. Alright, this hand is fine. Gotta find blue mana, but we have a redraw and a removal spell to slow them down until we get to that point. And then we are basically just playing control with this deck in this particular hand. Gonna tempo them and remove them until they have nothing. Basic Plains Nesting Bot. Alright, I'm going to play Guidelight Matrix, I guess. I would love to not have to Momentum Breaker the Nesting Bot. But it is probably going to get them to max speed really quick. Alright, there's the blue mana. I think I go Engine Rat and then bounce off something, probably. We'll see what they do. We have the Salvation Engine, don't have any other artifact creatures. Hopefully we'll find them at some point. I'll block there. And yeah, honestly, just bounce that back. Keeps them off of speed. And that's going to be a lot less impressive. Alright. That's actually great for me. So they played out a different creature than the Nesting Bot, so the Momentum Breaker gets to actually do something. So if we get another land, we can start playing our big 5-drops and taking control of the game. So we just need to draw another land. Voyager, Quick Welder. This removes abilities, right? Yes, it does. Not going to activate the Momentum Breaker on 1. I'm just going to play Broadcast Rambler here. And pass. So we do actually have Guidelight Matrix Salvation Engine set up to go in, well, a turn from now. So like next turn we play Salvation Engine, turn after that we fire up the Guidelight Matrix, and then we're good to go. They flood the Rambler and attack for 2. Mendicant Core Guidelight. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1 if you do copy it. I bet. Let's do that. Let's see if we can draw another land next turn. If we can draw another land next turn, then oh boy, double Salvation Engine. And if not, single Salvation Engine, still pretty good. Alright, Nesting Bot is back. And stock up. Mendicant Core, incidentally stopping the Quick Welder, which means they are still on 3 speed, which means this is still just a 1-1 instead of a 2-1. Which is pretty nice. Scrap Compactor, cringe. Alright, so they do have onboard removal for my Salvation Engine, which really makes me not want to just jam it this turn. So I think I chip in for 1, get up to speed 3, and then genuinely just pass. So next turn, Scoured Barrens untaps, and we can copy Salvation Engine. And then at that point, what do they even do? Like, I guess they could Scrap Compactor the Mendicant, which is also fine, because then it means they're not Scrap Compacting the Salvation Engine, and this gets it back if it attacks. Yeah, okay. The Salvation Engine is setting up to be incredibly sick. Alright, Memory Guardian is a flyer, which kind of sucks, but... Let's play out that guy. Now, them having a 3-4 means I can't get up to max speed this turn, and I really don't want to flood the engines at this point. Alright, please just don't have any way of dealing with a Salvation Engine. Alright, Pride of the Road is very spooky, but I have a Flood the Engines, and I'm just gonna remove it. So they're going to give something Double Strike. What do they give? The Nesting Bot. That's crew 6, so it's no good. So this is going to be what? If I block that, we trade. I think I say no blocks here. I flood the Pride of the Road. I can gain 3. Gosh. If so, next turn, I flood something, get max speed. I don't know. I think gaining 3 is going to be good enough, and I want to have mana available next turn. Alright, Hull Drifter is pretty good. Not amazing, but it's fine. Very glad I held the Flood the Engines. So there you go. Salvation Engine fires up. And we swing in. Hold the 3-3 back on blocks. Get the Mendicant as well. Alright. Ride's End is pretty bad for me, but at least I got my Mendicant back. And hopefully Hull Drifter will help steal the game. I'll take 3 there. Diversion Unit is fine. I only have 1 blue. How do I only have 1 blue? Alright, let's play a Guidelight Pathmaker. It's an only castable spell. And find... Let's see, what if these are threatening? Probably find a Perilous Snare for the Memory Guardian. Which won't work this turn, but it will work in the future. And we have to just continue passing and being defensive here, unfortunately. The situation is not quite dire, but it's also pretty bad. Alright, I'll take this block very comfortably. Take 3, go to 5. Less comfortably. Opponent just has a land. Okay. Perilous Snare, snipe the Memory Guardian. Transit Mage, find another Broadcast Rambler. Transit Mage, crew up the Pathmaker and attack. Alright. That's pretty good. I don't have the mana to Guide Light Matrix the Pathmaker into being a blocker again. But I do have... I forgot to activate Perilous Snare again. I keep thinking that's instant speed. My bad. Alright, let's not make that mistake again. Let's start pumping up Transit Mage to make their blocks a lot worse. And let's make a couple Broadcast Ramblers real quick. No big deal. And now I have enough blockers that I am comfortable going more on the offensive. We'll leave Transit Mage and 2 1/1s back. They just do a chump block. Alright, feeling pretty good about this. I am at 5. Yeah, alright, cool. Double Broadcast Rambler on blocks is pretty solid. Alright, so if I had literally 20 more gems, I would be good to go for another draft at this point. Instead, I have to win another one, which I'm feeling pretty good about. The deck has been performing well so far. Alright, currently waiting. Waiting for an opponent. And having an obnoxious car driver person in the background being loud and annoying is very on flavor for Aetherdrift. Very on flavor. I don't know if you guys can even hear that, but if you can, sorry. Literally nothing I can do about it. Right, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, and we have not found a match. Alright, we found one. Just had to open my mouth. Alright, we have our colors. We have an early kind of bad creature. And we have a removal spell. This is fine. We'll draw into stuff. Opponent is in bronze. They're probably bad. Hopefully. So I think we definitely lead on Island. So if we have to play Mendicant on 2, we can. What is this card even called? It's probably just called Guide Light. Mendicant Core is probably a title. Who knows? Alright, Quick Welder is great. That's the kind of card I want to see. Alright, another Quick Welder, also great. So this is just literally just a 2-mana 3/3 reach, which is quite good. That would be ideal if they just have nothing else. Venom Sac Lagak is annoying. Alright, so we're just going to play out Salvation Engine next turn, and hopefully that'll be good enough. This Death Touch is kind of annoying. The 3/3 is kind of annoying. The 3/3 can't currently attack into the Quick Welder, though. I might have to flood the engine on that. The freaking Ether Spark. The freaking Ether Spark in limited. Very cool. Thank you, opponent. Whenever it does damage. Alright, so they're gonna be drawing infinite cards. So at next turn, that's -5 draw 2. Very cool opponent. And this is creature or vehicle. And it doesn't destroy it, so yikes. Well, we might just race them. Salvation Engine is a hell of a drug. Attack you for 9. Have fun? We might just race them. Flood the engine might help with that. Yep, they're drawing 2, which is very scary. Hopefully my mythic beats your mythic. They drew 2, which does mean this doesn't get pumped, which means they can attack me for 6 down to 8. And then I flood something. Alright, they just attack with the 1. Presumably leaving a Death Touch blocker back. Flood the engine means that's not going to work well for them. Hazard of the Dunes is actually fine. Which one do I want to be permanently gone? I think I want the hazard. I don't think it matters. I think like this game is probably going to end before the stall out comes back. Alright, so there goes the hazard. There goes the thing with Ether Spark on it. I could attack you for 9. I could attack them for 6, but there's actually just no reason to do that. So now they're at 2. That doesn't untap or anything. Alright, Run Over is a pretty significant punish for their Death Touch creature still existing and having Death Touch. That was something I hadn't considered. So yeah, then now they swap the Ether Spark over and get it up to 8 loyalty again. Ooze Patrol as a 2/2. Deathless Pilot as a 2/2. Alright, well... I guess we can play another Quick Welder and a Transit Mage and find a Broadcast Rambler. So none of these are going to be lethal attacks. So I attack with a 4/6 and leave myself with 2 blockers back. Obviously they can just chump with the Deathless Pilot forever. Now their attacks are bad. But they can draw a billion cards. Freaking Ether Spark, man. They've drawn 4 off of that this game, and they have 3 cards in hand. Meaning they would probably literally be dead if not for the Ether Spark. Like they would have nothing. If they have a removal spell for the Salvation Engine, I am in serious trouble. If they don't, I'm probably fine. Like, I can Salvation Engine even bring back the Mendicant Core. Alright, plow through. Destroy target vehicle. Alright, that's brutal. They have good attacks again. Alright, do I double block here and trade? None of these are combat tricks. I think... What's that? So that's going to get another 4 counters on it. What's the alternative? Like, if I don't do that, then I swing in for 6, they block 2 of it. No, I think I have to get rid of a creature of theirs. Alright, the Lagak is coming back soon-ish. So Guidelight Pathmaker can get me a removal spell for the Ooze Patrol, I guess. So I could put a Bauble directly into play, kill the Ooze Patrol. Or I could grab a Perilous Snare. I think that has to be the line. And then no attacks. I can stop the Jaguar trading it with the Pathmaker. Or just stonewalling it if they don't have a thing to saddle it with, which they probably do. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so they're going to draw 2 cards with the Aether Spark, which does mean they're not making this a 5/5 and then a 7/7 for saddling. Do I need to Grim Bauble Crack on my upkeep? I think so. I think the situation is pretty dire. It's not catastrophic, but it's not great. So they attack with the Jaguar. I will fire up the Pathmaker and trade. But now the Lagak is going to untap soon, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. Also, they have multiple Deathless Pilots. I think we do activate Grim Bauble here. Stall Out and Engine Rat are both great. So Stall Out can keep the Lagak tapped down even longer. And then Engine Rat can be the win con. Alright, let's kill the Aether Spark. Rip Transit Mage, probably. Alright, you know how that Lagak was stalled out? What if it were still stalled out? So that'll buy me a couple more turns, and then hopefully this Broadcast Rambler and Engine Rat can close out. And hopefully my opponent doesn't draw another rare or a mythic. Kind of relying on my opponent's best play being recurring Deathless Pilots at this point. Grim Javelineer. Bit spooky, but not a huge problem. Rambler, Engine Rat. And if we attack here, then they have a double block, which favors them. Although it does kill the Javelineer. And if I don't attack, I don't have great blocks on them. I think we have to pass. This might be an engine rat win. This might be an engine rat win. Like, I would really rather it not be, but I think that might be the point that we're at this point. So we can activate engine rat a bunch, drain them out over a couple of turns. I assume they attack with at least one Deathless Pilot, if not both. So it doesn't give Death Touch, right? It just gives them a Surveil if it dies. Alright, crew up the Rambler. See if they have a removal spell for it. Which they very well might. We take our blocks. Fang Guardian. Brutal. Alright, but that's fine-ish. I mean, it's not great. But at least it means that both of the pilots are going to be out of commission for a while. And hopefully I can do something in that time. Another really good game. Draw another freaking basic land. Alright. I can chip in with the Thopter for 1. So that puts them to 6, which does shave a turn off of the clock for engine rat purposes. Also puts me to max speed if that matters, which it probably won't. The Logok is untapping soon, though. And I need to draw some action. Otherwise, they are just going to bury me under Deathless Pilot Recursion. Alright. I think I have to take... can I even afford to go to 1? I think I have to. I think I have to be fine dying to a lot of things. Yep, alright. They had a combat trick. You know, I drew lands a couple turns in a row in the late game when it was very critical that I draw anything. I think I played well, probably. Maybe I could have gotten the cage, the 3-mana removal spell for something scarier than a 2/1, and maybe that would have turned out well for me. I don't know. Super interactive game, lots of decisions there. Probably some things I could have done better. But I also think the number one thing I could have done better is just drawn better. And, like, had my opponent not had the Aether Spark, it's a very, very trivial win for me. And, like, even with the Aether Spark, I was in competition. Alright, well, this is a pretty good mono-white hand. So I guess we keep the mono-white hand and hope that we draw lands of various colors. Alright, Operation Draw lands of various colors. So far, so good. Nimble Thopterist now playable. Interface Ace. So I think I go Quick Welder on 3, into Thopterist maybe on 4, and then maybe Salvation Engine on 5. Right now. The sequencing is always tricky. So I guess if I draw another land, it's probably going to be better to Quick Welder plus Snare. They've attacked with the interface ace. Sure. They have their own Quick Welder. I don't draw a land, which sucks. But so I can Quick Welder and actually discount the Snare and then cast the Snare. I think that's better than a single look at a land. Alright. Gotta take your attacks. Maybe they forget to block. You never know. They are getting their speed up a lot better than I am. Alright. Operation Draw lands of various colors. Once again, a resounding success. Do I just jam Salvation Engine this turn? And try to go, like, all-out punchies? They haven't used any removal. Let's go to attacks, get our damage, and play a Broadcast Rambler. So this contributes even better to giant explosive turns in the future with Salvation Engine. Alright, they just tap out for Voyage Home. I'm 100% slamming Salvation Engine next turn. They get max speed, probably doesn't matter. Alright, Salvation Engine. I can even kill the Surveyor for all that matters. And crew up the Rambler and attack for a billion D damage. And they just take all of it down to 7. I'd love to see it. We're up to speed 3. We have a Hull Drifter in hand, so if the game goes long, we aren't completely buried card advantage wise. They're gonna need a Wrath, honestly, like straight up. So I can Thopterist crew the engine, assuming they don't destroy it, which they're pretty likely to have some way of stopping it. Like, we got one insane attack out of it. I'm pretty happy with that. If we get more, that's just gravy. Opponent is thinking. They have 5 cards in hand and 7 mana, which is a lot. Alright, they do have a Flood the Engine for the Salvation Engine. That's unsurprising. They have a Midnight Mangler. Alright, second Swamp. Not my ideal card. Do I just chip in with the Flyer here? No, I think we stall out the Midnight Mangler and get this, like, does threaten lethal if they have nothing else. This is 7. And if they do have something, then I'm perfectly fine to just, you know, activate Perilous Snare, start getting my value out of that. Alright. Not super surprised to see that. We do get our max speed, and I think I'll be pumping the Thopter here. Flying creatures are super valuable. Pride of the Road doesn't do all that much. Memory Guardian does. Alright, they can give something double strike. Doesn't really matter. Let's crack the Grim Bauble, try to find a removal spell. Guidelight Pathmaker is great value, so I think we just take it. So let's jam the Pathmaker, see what we can find. How about Mendicant? That seems fun. And let's put a counter on the flyer, I guess. Yeah, let's put a counter on the flyer. We're not going to attack this turn. But we will be good to attack next turn through the Memory Guardian. Alright, they are just drawing a card to dig. Pride of the Road means that attacks for 6, which isn't particularly scary. I mean, it's not unscary. No, it's boosting itself. Yeah, okay, and then no attacks. That makes sense. So you become a 4/4, which means you can safely attack. We will fire up the Pathmaker. And just these three. So if they... I don't know. This is probably also a safe attack. Just push a little bit more damage that way. So yeah, they're going to have to trade with the Mendicant Core. They're going to have to chump the Pathmaker. Or not. Alright, so they go to 1. And I could play a Thopterist, which gives me 2 bodies as blockers, and we should be good to go here. Like, there's no way they stabilize at 1, right? Right. Alright, cool. We get another win, and man, the games here have just been super dynamic. Been having a lot of fun with this deck. Alright, we are up to 3 wins, which means we have confirmed our ability to play another draft. Now we just have to keep getting more wins, and hopefully confirm even another draft after that. Which wouldn't be too hard, I think. Alright, see what we have this time. Alright, well, we've got mono blue, but we've got 2 starting columns and a Guidelight Matrix. This is probably fine. Not sure what we're going to be ramping into, but we're going to be ramping into something probably. How about a Salvation Engine naturally drawn? That's pretty cool. I would love to draw a 3rd land. That would be the one big problem with my plan. Alright. Well, we cycle the stall out. 3rd land acquired. And we don't have Grim Bauble, but we can have starting column Grim Bauble. I think we take out the Scurryfoot. Alright, we draw another land. That's great. Alright, we take the Scurryfoot. And we have bounce off to, if they try to do some nonsense and attack me for 4 there. There's the Omnivore. Bouncing that off will gain them some life, but that's fine. Back you go. I'll take 1. Alright. So we have 5 mana, so we can starting column plus Transit Mage, which is probably the best. And this can get us another big artifact. And Transit Mage is also a disposable-ish thing that we can block the Engine Rat with. So now we have one each of our big 5-mana finishers. I think we're going to play Broadcast Rambler next turn, Hull Drifter after that, and Salvation Engine after that. So there's the bike back. But they don't attack with it, they just attack with those two. And I think I just take this trade. Just get the Death Touch nonsense off the board. And now I have my own Death Touch nonsense on the board. Alright, we are cruising at this point. Hull Drifter to put us ahead in value, and we should be good to go, barring some crazy nonsense. Fang Druid Summoner, not the crazy nonsense they need. Calaxion, also not really spectacular here. Alright. This attack seems loose to me, unless they have a combat trick, but then I'm fine drawing out the combat trick. Alright, they have a run over. That's fine. We will block the bike. And play a Hull Drifter. And draw some cards. Draw some lands, more like, jeez. Alright, now Guidelight Matrix can turn the Hull Drifter active at any point. Which I think I won't do. I think I just take 5 here and rely on the Salvation Engine to bail me out. I am pretty low, which is a concern. Alright, so I need the Guidelight Matrix to activate the Salvation Engine to block the Calaxion. Hazard of the Dunes. And they don't have great attacks here, although they might mess up and think they do. If they don't read Guidelight Matrix, I might get them here. Alright. They didn't read Guidelight Matrix. I have a 6/10. Alright, that is fantastic for me. Momentum Breaker is also great. Just get rid of a thing. Guidelight Matrix is a redraw and also activates a second creature. So this can become a 7/7, which is almost enough to be... It's enough to, like, threaten... It's enough to bounce off of the Salvation Engine, but not enough to accomplish anything. Alright. Are any of these useful? Not without max speed. Alright, we pass. Another Hull Drifter. You love to see it. Perilous Snare. So I still have one Guidelight Matrix available for doing this. Take the Hazard of the Dunes out of play. And pass. I assume they're just going to activate the Scurryfoot. They still don't quite have lethal, unless they have a combat trick. I would love to untap here. That would make me very happy. Alright. We get our wish, and we even get a stall out. So I have 10 mana. I would like to save some of it for nefarious purposes. I'll stall that out. What artifacts do I have? A Broadcast Rambler? Alright. You get to attack this turn and get me a Broadcast Rambler back. And directly into play, give me another 3/3 Thopter. And also boost speed, which is not irrelevant at all. Alright, they have another run over. So I don't play the Pathmaker here, I just hold up Guidelight Matrix. Plus Grimbauble. They don't have good attacks here because the Hull Drifters and everything. And I activate my Grimbauble to scry some. Very glad to do that. I finally draw a basic Swamp. I play a Pathmaker. And I get probably just another Broadcast Rambler, honestly. And I will attack for 3 and use Guidelight Matrix to keep myself safe. Broadcast Rambler here seems a bit aggressive. Hour of Victory doesn't do anything without engine started. Alright. So you become a vehicle. And you become a vehicle. Then we pass to blocks. We take out our blocks. And do they have a combat trick? Alright. They have a combat trick. That's rough. Yep, that was unfortunate. We should have won that. I definitely punted that. I'm not sure exactly how I punted it, but I definitely could have left more blockers up. Alright, that's very annoying. But we still got our 3 wins. So it's still not a complete failure. And now we will run another one. And hopefully not punt an easily winning game. Freaking Bestow Greatness. Also, my opponent drew insanely well that game to stay in as long as they did. Like, if they had drawn like any other combination of cards, I think it's very easy for me to just go over the top, but they just keep drawing creatures. Alright, Howl Squad Heavy is great, but very aggressive, and aggressive isn't good in this format. I think it's probably still like a decent pack 1, pick 1. Beast Rider Vanguard is the other card which I would consider, but 5 mana is still a lot of mana. The rest of the cards are kind of mid. Let's take Howl Squad Heavy. So this might lead me to like blue-red cycling, which I've tried to make work a couple times and have failed a couple times, but maybe this time. Maybe this time it'll work. Alright, Mendicant Core Guidelight again, with Haunt the Network in the pack. Let's take the Mendicant Core. I mean, it's completely insane. This pack is, like, if I could just take this pack in its entirety, I would have a great deck. I can't do that, so I'll take a rare. So hopefully Esper Artifacts is open, and that pack can wheel something back to me. It's pretty unlikely, but you never know. Alright, the person directly in front of me is the slowest person at the table. They have literally 5 packs. So please don't be slow. Alright. We get kind of a mediocre pack. I guess probably just like Siphon Fuel or Spin Out. Siphon Fuel beats some of the more nefarious things in the format, like the Frog. Spin Out is just more efficient in general, though. Let's take Siphon Fuel. Having a bit of life gain on the side also never hurt anyone. Person in front of me is still extraordinarily slow. If we get past a Gas Guzzler, this card is very, very strong, especially at max speed, and especially for getting to max speed. Momentum Breaker is also good, but Gas Guzzler is crazy. I don't know, like, I might even... I don't know, it's probably still going to be Esper Artifact piles, but I might end up with, like, black-red aggro-y type thing, with 2 rares leaning that direction. I don't know. It seems a bit sketch, but might be worth a try. Person in front of me is just the slowest person on the planet. Alright, we could get Haunted Hellride, or we could get Grimbauble. Let's get Haunted Hellride. That could be fun. I don't know. Actually, Grimbauble is just good early removal, which is always something needed. Alright, the person in front of me now has 6 packs. Very cool. Please. Alright. And then here we get, I think honestly just Engine Rat. So at this point we're definitely in black. Whether we're in Esper or Rakdos remains to be seen. We have a really, really good start in the 1-drop category. Like we are not gonna die early with this draft. All right. Guidelight Matrix is decent if we have big artifact stuff. Chitin Gravestalker is like a 5/4, which isn't completely embarrassing. Let's take Guidelight Matrix. It might end up being cut if we are not in Esper or blue-black or something along those lines, but It's like a fine card. Repurposing Bay. Repurposing Bay just isn't good. Like, I think it's pretty clearly Broadcast Rambler here. Or Streaking Oil Gorger. We might take Streaking Oil Gorger to try to live the black-red Rakdos aggro-y max speed dream. I don't know, that seems fun rather than just forcing Esper artifacts for the 17th time in a row. Let's try that. So then that would also incline me to take Grim Javelineer. And Gastel Blockbuster would be fine-ish, but Grim Javelineer is much better, I think, for that deck. Ooh, Pact Altera this late. Pact Altera this late is insane. There's pretty much no question we're taking that. And I guess Ironclad isn't completely embarrassing. It's probably just going to end up being cut or cycled on one every game, but that's probably fine. Take a Wreck Remover, I guess. It's an artifact, which matters. Scrap Compactor is even more early removal. And Light Wheel Enhancements is going straight to the sideboard. Lightning Strike is great. Risky Shortcut is great. I'll take Lightning Strike. There's a very good chance that I blow someone out with that. Boommobile seems awesome. Risen Necroregent is also pretty good. But like, this might just kill someone late game. Let's take the Boommobile. Try to go Rakdos. I'd like to be more grindy than like a true aggro deck, but like definitely like Drainy and Burny should be an interesting difference from my normal playstyle. It's probably going to end up going like 1-3 or something, but that's fine. Radiant Lotus, absolutely not. I would love a second Lightning Strike. Or maybe Drakasar Auxiliary would be good, but second Lightning Strike's probably where we're at. Prowcatcher Specialist is good. Alright, I think we are definitely all in on this Rakdos aggro-y plan now. So Mendicant Core goes to the sideboard. Guidelight Matrix goes to the sideboard. Wreck Remover goes to the sideboard. Alright, all I want is turn 1 Gas Guzzler every game for the draft. And then decent spells after that. Alright, at least it's not one person being obviously extraordinarily slow anymore. Alright, Gastel Raider is pretty good. Second Grim Bauble, not really needed. Let's take the Gastel Raider. Alright, Dune Drifter isn't great. A Raceway, maybe? Nah, probably not. Probably another Grim Bauble. So, I mean, Raceway is a colorless land, and if it were the one that gave haste, I would probably pick it. Artillerist is very slow. Let's take a Grim Bauble. And I don't know. I mean, this is like a 3-mana removal spell, kind of. It might just be Night Market to get our colors, but I'm gonna take the Blockbuster. Push the limit. All right, I got obliterated by this in one draft a little while ago. Like, I was doing so well, and then they brought back like 10 things, and I got completely bodied. Is it good? Probably not. But it would be very cool. Risky Shortcut is fantastic. Now it is this same person being excruciatingly slow again. So now we wait. Alright. Now someone is doing something very silly with their horn. Alright, please just give me some packs of Magic the Gathering cards so that I can select one and continue this draft. Alright, well, we're taking another Blockbuster. None of the rest of these cards do anything. I guess Rugged Highland could make like a green splash for Jund possible. I don't know, maybe that's even like worth considering. But I don't know. I haven't really seen green being open. Alright, there's an on-color duel, which is fantastic. Definitely better than the third Blockbuster. Gravestalker is probably just going to go to the sideboard. I don't really have the artifacts for it at the moment. Even Pact Altair is a bit sketchy on the artifact front. Alright. Waiting to get another pack. I guess we take a Boom Scholar. It might end up being a green splash, but probably not. Tranquil Cove is absolutely not. Alright, Coalstoke Gearhulk. Creature card with mana value 4 or less from a graveyard onto the battlefield with a bunch of keywords. Yeah, that seems pretty good. That seems pretty good overall. Any of the rest of these interesting. Spire Mech Cycle is kind of interesting, but it's no Gearhulk. Alright. Goodbye, opponent. Alright. Road Rage is not really what I'm looking for. It's not terrible, though. Gilded Goda is a mount, I guess. And I do have Push the Limit. Yeah, let's take the Gilded Goda and see if that does anything fun. The rest of these cards not really doing much of anything. Second Pact Altair. Adrenaline Jockey seems bad. Rover Blades to give something Death Touch could be a thing. I think it's probably just second Pact Altair. Like, the goal is we get them low and then we drain them out with Pact Altairs and Lightning Strikes and stuff. Rover Blades would be so cool, though. Nah, let's go Pact Altair. It's just a better card in general. I think Pedal to the Metal is better than Momentum Breaker in this deck. Like, it's a combat trick. If they don't block, we might just burn them out with it. Like, X equals 5, kill you. Momentum Breaker is very good in general, obviously. but let's take that. Alright, these cards are like almost entirely bad. So we'll take another one of these, I guess. Maybe another Siphon Fuel, actually. We do need removal. Another risky shortcut is great. Dynamite Diver isn't the most exciting thing in the world. I like the card advantage of that. Thunderhead Gunner is just really big. Like, it's really big and makes blocking awkward. And Deathless Pilot, I guess. Nah, probably Spin Out. Alright, this one is Deathless Pilot. This one is probably the Mutant Surveyor. Now we just have to wait for our last couple of picks, and then see if this Rakdos aggro deck that we drafted is actually good. Hopefully it's more Rakdos mid-rangey. We have a lot of top end, which hopefully pays off. Well, we're taking Scrap Compactor because it's the only one in our colors. I might take Repurposing Bay just as a rare draft. Yeah, I think I just rare draft Repurposing Bay. Gotta take the rares at some point for value. And I don't think Scrap Compactor is good in our deck. Another Gravestalker is not embarrassing. Ancient Vendetta is pretty bad. We just don't know what cards they could even be playing. Alright. So we have something here. I think, how many artifacts do I have? 8. I think Chitin Gravestalkers go. They're just way too impractical. I think Push the Limit goes. I don't have that many mounts and vehicles. Let's see, what else goes? Maybe Pact Altera is probably just fine on its own. Like, even if I trigger it once or twice, it's pretty good. And I have also like Gilded Goda, which technically does something. Alright. Let's get rid of... Let's get rid of some 3-drops. Mutant Surveyor is a bit low impact. Siphon Fuel is like a removal spell, which I don't really know if I want that many of for 5 mana. Scrap Compactor is an artifact, which matters for Pact Altera, and it's also removal. Grimbauble, sort of same story. These are just my good early plays. Deathless Pilot is probably no good. Clamorous Ironclad is incredibly uninteresting. And what's the last cut? Maybe 1 Blockbuster? Alright. Let's try this. I'm not confident that this will work. I think as far as aggro decks go, it's pretty good. I have a decent number of on-theme rares, but it also seems like I'm just not going to get over the finish line and then they're going to grind me out. So we'll see how that goes. It'll probably be a pretty quick draft either way. Alright, we find an opponent. And they have a mushroom avatar. Very cool. Alright, this hand does absolutely nothing. This hand is maybe a bit grindy, but I think we have to keep it bottom one of the risky shortcuts, I guess. So this is why I don't think draft is good in limited, because you get hands like this where like you only have so many 1-drops. You gotta draw them. Speedy, thank you for the follow. Unfortunately, I think you're about to see me lose horribly. Like, my Simic opponent has played a Vila Heart Bike. So at least I can get a Howl Squad Heavy. It's only 1 turn late. My opponent is only at 22 somehow. Maybe they just don't have any removal spells for the Hallow Squad Heavy. You never know. It could be. Alright, they have a Jaguar, which is a 4/4. Alright, by my powers combined, I can kill the Jaguar. So I Grim Bobble it, and then Lightning Strike it. And then I get an attack with the Howl Squad Heavy. So they can crew that, and it does literal nothing. Alright, we have brought them down to below their starting life total. That's progress. Alright, they just play a Hull Drifter. So that is max speed, tap, add red for each goblin you control. So I think I risky shortcut here, and I do draw a land. That's great. And if I don't use the Howl Squad Heavy in combat, this doesn't have Vigilance or anything, right? Right. So I swing them for 3. And now I can play the Gunner. And pass the turn. Maybe get rid of the Gilded Goda with the Gunner. Would have been smarter. Howl Squad Heavy has gone insane this game, so that's nice. Alright, my fun is over. They have a Gear Seeker Serpent. Now what? Well, now I think we definitely get rid of the Gilded Goda. That's not doing anything, ever. So what? We have a billion mana. What's in here for us to even get? Not much. Let's play a Packdoll Terror. Ping them for 1. I guess play this and then swarm them with goblins. One, two, three, 4. Does a specialist attack as well? So what, they can block 1 thing. The specialist is way higher value than the goblins, so I think we just do this. Alright, they are down to 9. They can't attack until they deal with my board. Like, it's just impossible. And hopefully Coalstoke Gearhulk can do some cool stuff. So I can Coalstoke Gearhulk, trigger Packdoll Terror, get back a Gilded Goda, saddle it and attack, make a treasure, trigger Packdoll Terror. That's something, I guess. Alright. They've flooded the Howl Squad Heavy's engines. And the Thunderhead Gunner. That's brutal. Yeah, they absolutely cannot afford to attack at any point. Another Packdoll Terror goes crazy hard. Let's put that into play. Drain them for a bunch. And do we just swing out here and Gear Hulk back the Packdoll Terror when they kill it? Alright, they're at 2. Gear Hulk Return Packdoll Terror is literally just lethal on its own without any other attackers. Alright. Hopefully they don't have anything crazy here. I'm feeling pretty good about this game. What, like, they would need some crazy life gain that also makes blockers. Stock up. Probably not, like, I can't imagine what 4 mana thing they could have that would win here. So they can play a blocker, but like these don't add blockers, they just convert them into different blockers. I'm still at 21. They might have removal spell for the Packdoll Terror. I don't think it's going to matter though. Alright. They kill the Packdoll Terror, and they still just die to a swarm of goblins. Not to mention Gear Hulk bring back Packdoll Terror. Yeah, they have 2 mana, it's over. Yep. 2 mana is not dealing with all this. Alright, we got there, somehow. So we are not going 0 and... We're not going 0-3. It's a good start. Now let's just hopefully bring this all the way to the finish line. Gotta use those racing related puns. Alright, currently waiting. Let's see if we can find another opponent. Queue times have been a bit long today, it feels like. Feels like normally they're not this slow. Wonder what that's all about. Alright, we do find an opponent. And let's see if we can do something good this game as well. Now our previous opponent was also like unusually slow. Alright, this hand does nothing. This hand makes an engine rat, I guess. I don't know. We just have to get lucky and draw into things. Alright, turn 1 engine rat. Good luck. If you could beat a turn 1 engine rat, you can beat my deck, probably. Alright, so far, no sign of them beating a turn 1 engine rat. We have officially attacked for a point of damage. Alright. Now the question is, do we bobble the Vanguard or Grim Javelineer, attack and possibly trade with it? I think we Javelineer attack and trade. So this will also get me a Surveil 1. Alright, they don't trade. That's probably great for me, because I do have the Grim Bauble. Alright. Which is scarier, Camera Launcher or Vanguard? Probably Camera Launcher, since its exhaust creates more blockers. Let's make the Javelineer a 4-2. I still don't have max speed started, which is a bit awkward. Alright, they're still just taking damage, which is probably great for me. Like, they probably should have traded there. So now I get to Grimbauble Surveil and hopefully find something worth doing. We've gotten them to 12, can we get them to 0? Is gonna be the question in basically every game. They're Gruul, which isn't like a notorious control colors. Like they can make blockers, they can burn stuff. Hopefully they won't be able to slow us down enough for us to lose. Alright, Market Back Walker. Opponent has all sorts of value. They're just attacking. Alright, Grimbauble, what do you show me? Alright, we take those. And play a hasty creature. Attack. Spread that out. I imagine they'll want to trade the Market Back Walker with anything so that they can draw their cards. Now they're at 8 and we have a Lightning Strike. They don't know that. We also have a Coalstoke Gearhulk and they don't know that either. Oh, they're Teamer. They're not just pure red-green. So that might unlock a bunch of cards in their hand. I would not be surprised to see an instant blue removal spell. They need to trade off with this Engine Rat sooner rather than later, or like I draw a 6th land and start burning them. They're at 8. Alright, Lumbering World Wagon is purely just ramp. Crew 4 is abysmal. I need double red for that. That's annoying. Alright, well, we attack. We attack and probably exhaust the Specialist. Either way, whether they block it or not. Alright, please, opponent, have nothing. Alright, they have blocks. And yeah, after all this time where they could have gotten a trade off of it, now they're chumping. Okay, they're running it over. That makes sense. So I spent my mana there for no real value. Except I put them to 7. Mighty Ketrodon, gain 4. Come on, man. I'm just trying to play a game. I'm just trying to be aggressive. They tapped out, though. They tapped out. That is kind of scary for them. So obviously they get infinite mana. Yeah, now I have to slow my roll because they have good attacks now. So I have a Death Touch creature, which is definitely helpful, but probably won't be enough. Yeah, if they didn't have the Ketrodon, I think we're in great shape. But as it is, I think we're about to get obliterated. Yeah, so they can play that, haste it up, basically force the block with the Engine Rat. And Gear Hulk is definitely not going to be fast enough to get me there. Alright, we block. We trade. I guess we'll Lightning Strike their face and step. Because if anything gets us there, it'll be them being just a little bit lower than they need to be. But Migrating Ketrodon has like single-handedly stuffed my entire game plan. It's another black source. Yeah, we're never dealing 8 to them. Like we have to chump block, and yeah. Alright, so I've discovered my Achilles heel, and it is like, I think it's like a common. So it's a common in the best color in the format, so that's probably not great for me. I also haven't drawn Gas Guzzler so far. Like if I get a good start, like Gas Guzzler into some 2-drop, into the goblin. What's the goblin thing? I can't remember. Like if I get a crazy start like that, we should be fine against most things. But I didn't that time. This is like a fine mono red hand, I guess. The Boommobile can make 4 mana for abilities. That's for something, probably. Opponent is also playing goblins, but they're playing Grell. Alright, I need to be on the defensive here because I have skillfully chosen to be on the draw. So that can become a 3-2. Alright. I'm obviously blocking the Tyrox. If you have, like, Become Immense or something. No, alright, just exhausting the Goblin. I just can't afford to ever play this stupid cave. Like, what do I do it now? Like, do I just take this turn off? I guess. Puts me to 16. Alright, that has exhaust. Other creatures gain haste. And exhaust make it dragon. Alright. That is a very scary card for me. I think we have to play... Oops. I thought that was Destroy Creature, and now I'm completely screwed. So now that gives them a dragon. Now this gives them a dragon, and also just attacks. Alright, so I could have traded there and been like not fine, but not completely screwed. And as it is, I am just completely screwed. Alright, unsurprisingly, we whiff. And we play an Engine Rat. So we only take 4 here, probably. I guess this can make us take 6 here. And then the Boommobile is going to kill us, in all likelihood. Yeah. So Boommobile gives 4 mana. So I play Boommobile. I have 6 mana left over. I can't quite kill the dinosaur dragon, which means I die here. Yep. I would say good game, but it was definitely objectively a bad game. I punted that one, and also just like had a bad deck to begin with, so that doesn't help. So we're gonna have to get a crazy hot streak in order to turn this draft into anything. All right, this is a pretty good hand. Not amazing, but it's got a much better. It's got a game plan. Like we grind them out with pings and card draw. All right, opponent, please choose to be on the play. As we all know you're obviously going to do. Because I need wins, which means I'm always going to be on the draw. No, okay. Apparently they didn't get to choose. Apparently I chose and just did it instinctively without thinking about it. Alright, spin out. Not amazing, but fine. Opponent has played Basic Mountain. We might be in the aggro bracket with 1 win, 2 losses. Alright, Power Catcher Specialist. Grim Javelineer. And do I trade here? Probably. Probably I race them, actually. I think Pact Altair is going to mean I win the race most of the time. So yeah, confirmed not blocking. Because this drains them and gains me 1 on entry. Vila Heartbike gain 2 is pretty bad for me, but it's also like not the worst thing ever. I could Boommobile and kill their specialist. Yeah, let's do that. That's fun. So this can't exhaust right now. They have 1 mana. You add 4 red. We exhaust. X equals 1. Blow up their creature. Please don't have a 1 mana interaction. They don't. Cool. They didn't even crew the bike, which they probably should have. Alright, now we are distinctly ahead in the race, with Pact Altair coming as well. And I needed to do this now, because otherwise they might, like, exhaust it first. Alright, Sky Crash. That's fine. I would prefer to have my giant bike, but it's fine. I think we keep pushing damage with the Javelineer while we can. Like, eventually they're going to have multiple creatures, and single removal spell isn't going to push damage through, so gotta do that while we can. Opponent only has a single green, but they do have 4 mana now. Although they have double green from the bike. Alright, so that can't crew itself at the moment. they're down to 9. I have speed now, which is nice. And hopefully double packed all terror next time will be good. So that just makes it a creature. And they run over my packed all terror. Alright, well, let's play... Let's play a Flying Haster. I don't have max speed, so Gas Guzzler doesn't do much. I think we just jam with everything. And give this +1, because it's the one that's likely to actually hit. So now they're down to 3, and I have a flyer. And they don't know this, but I also have Packed Altera and Risky Shortcut, which is 3 points of drain in hand. Alright. They have that. They have a 2-2. And I assume they attack here and plan to trade. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. They're definitely on a clock. Let's put you to 1 real quick. See if I draw Lightning Strike or something. Yep, I do. And strike your face. And say good game. Alright, we got a win. We just had to be playing against another aggressive deck, which distinctly did not do anything particularly aggressive. Alright. We get Whale of the Forgotten as an ICR, I guess. Come on, give me another win so it's not an embarrassingly bad draft. Gotta get the value of 3 wins. It's literally plus like 1,000 gems worth of value. Because it's plus 750 gems and a pack. Now we're at 2-2, which is the bracket where we decide if we get to not... We decide if we get to continue playing well. I think if we get this win, we have the gems to do another draft afterwards, which probably won't be starting today because it's already like almost 4:30, but that would be pretty cool. Alright, this hand is actually great. Like, we have a good hand for once, which means we're probably going to get obliterated, but... Alright, turn 1 District Mascot. Turn 1 Engine Rat. Let's attack first, see if they want to trade the mascot. Unsurprisingly, they don't. So Gilded Goda can make treasures. Alright, they just rip off a counter spell. Which is pretty terrible for me, because I kind of want a treasure. I need a 3rd land pretty badly. Alright, they're saddling, which does mean I have an opportunity to get a point of damage if I draw a land. I don't, but I do get a Gas Guzzler, which is fine. And I have to probably Lightning Strike a creature to make the race good. I also need to freaking hit a land at some point. Like, please. Alright, I think we pass here and Lightning Strike the Surveyor. Scrounging Skyray. Alright, they are all in on the greed. So that means I'm probably going to lightning strike the mascot. I assume they'll crew and attack. I'll let them attack so that they attack with the surveyor. And goodbye, Mr. Mascot. Keeping the surveyor on board means it doesn't draw them a card from the graveyard, which is kind of nice. But we are still getting completely annihilated in the race. Alright, Howl Squad Heavy is something. Yep. Trade Gas Guzzler with the random 1/1 that they got for some reason. Now we're at 4 though, which means the Heavy is online. Yep. Surveyor attack. No blocks. The Heavy is like the most important thing at the moment. So if I Packed Doll Terror here, there's no real reason to do that pre-combat, right? I think we just go to attacks, make our attacks Packed Doll Terror afterwards. Oh, they have that. I did not... Vehicles are so frustrating. Like, you just never see them. So we can play the Packed Doll Terror. Scrap Compactor is pretty decent value next turn. If I'd seen the Aether Hive, I would have just left back my guy. So I can Scrap Compactor, kill the Surveyor next turn, or the Skyray. What's this, crew 1? Probably the Skyray. Alright, so this drains them, which is nice. And I think we kill the Surveyor. It's tough to say. They're going to crew up the Aether Hive. That's fine. Now we pass. And Coalstoke Gearhulk, get back Howl Squad Heavy will be pretty cool next turn. That's creature card, right? Yeah. Alright, we have a plan. If they have exhaust abilities, they could get Thopters, and then I'll be in trouble. Alright, they are just crewing up and going aggro. No blocks. That is Vigilance? Why does that have Vigilance? Stop giving things Vigilance, please. Alright, Coalstoke Gearhulk. If you have a counterspell, I swear to God. Alright, no counterspell. Let's get back Howl Squad Heavy. And play a Prowcatcher Specialist. And I guess we get a 1/1, which... Let's see, if that... Yeah, okay, this is not great for me, but I guess we swing in with a bunch of the smaller creatures. And then they block 2 of them and take 2, go down to 6. I should have just attacked with the Howl Squad Heavy. They have a Fang Guardian. That's brutal. That almost certainly wins them the game. So I need to stay at above 2 to not just instantly die to my own risky shortcut. Yeah, so the Howl Squad Heavy goes away, and I just sort of didn't get any good value off of the Gear Hulk. At least I have a 5/4 blocker. It's not nothing. Alright, that doesn't get counters, does it? So we block that. We block that. We take like 4-ish damage from the Market Back Walker, and if they have a combat trick, obviously I die. They have a combat trick, so obviously I die. Opponent just has it all. Thank you, opponent. Very cool. Alright. See, I need, for once in my life, for my opponents to not get exceptionally lucky. Like, come on, man. you didn't have to draw the Bestow Greatness. You could have drawn a land. You could have drawn a 1-drop. You could have drawn a 2-mana 2/2. That would have been fine, but no. Of course, you drew the perfect combat trick at the perfect time. And we get bodied again. Alright. It's 432. I guess, I don't know. Not super feeling like continuing to stream. Like, I could play a match of Pioneer, but not really feeling it at the moment. So we'll be back playing Satisfactory tomorrow, where we are doing something significant, I think. Oh, right, we're setting up power plants. So make sure to come and check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, I'll be back on Thursday playing Pioneer, because I can't get lucky enough to play multiple drafts in a row.